You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just be more disciplined. Just push through. Just try harder. And every single time you heard it, something inside you sank a little deeper because you've been trying harder your entire life. You've white-knuckled your way through projects, forced yourself awake at dawn with motivational videos blaring, built elaborate systems with color-coded planners and productivity apps, only to watch it all crumble within days or weeks. And the worst part isn't the failure itself. It's the voice that comes after, the one that whispers you're lazy, you're broken, you're just not strong enough. But what if I told you that voice has been lying to you this whole time? The truth is, discipline never worked for you because your brain wasn't wired to respond to it the way everyone said it should. And this isn't about excuses or giving up. This is about finally understanding why you felt like you're playing a completely different game than everyone else, with rules that nobody bothered to explain. If this resonates with you, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. It helps more people find content like this. And honestly, there are so many of us out there who need to hear this message. Let me paint you a picture. It's Sunday night. You're sitting there with this surge of energy, this clarity you haven't felt in weeks. You open a fresh document. You map out your entire week. You set your alarm for 5:30 in the morning. You even prep your clothes for the gym. This time will be different. This time you've got it figured out. Monday morning comes. The alarm screams. You hit snooze once, then twice. Then you're suddenly awake at 8:15 in a panic. The gym doesn't happen. Breakfast is whatever you can grab. By noon, that beautiful plan you made is already a joke. And by Wednesday, you've stopped looking at it entirely. Sound familiar? Here's what nobody tells you. That Sunday night surge wasn't motivation. It wasn't inspiration. It wasn't even really you deciding to change. It was your brain, desperate for dopamine, creating an artificial sense of urgency and reward by imagining a perfect future version of yourself. And the crash that followed wasn't laziness. It was neurochemical reality setting in. See, most advice about discipline is built for brains that run on a steady, predictable fuel system. Brains that can look at a boring task, understand it needs to be done, and simply do it because the future reward is enough to keep them going. But if you have ADHD or certain other neurodivergent traits, your brain doesn't work that way. Your brain needs interest, novelty, urgency, or passion to even begin engaging. Without one of those four elements, it's like trying to start a car with no gas in the tank. You can sit there turning the key all day long. Nothing's going to happen. This is why you can spend 8 hours scrolling through your phone, researching a random topic that suddenly fascinated you, building an entire mental encyclopedia about submarine engineering or the history of typography, but you can't spend 15 minutes filling out a form that's actually important for your life. It's not that you're undisciplined. It's that your brain literally cannot generate the activation energy needed for tasks that don't trip one of those four switches. And here's where it gets cruel. Society sees discipline as a moral quality. If you can't just do the boring thing, if you can't just push through, then clearly you're weak, you're immature, you lack character. So you internalize that. You start believing that other people have some kind of strength you're missing, some core of willpower that you were born without. And you spend years, sometimes decades, trying to build that thing, trying to become someone you're fundamentally not wired to be. But discipline, the way it's traditionally taught, is a system designed for neurotypical brains. It's like handing someone a manual written in a language they don't speak and then blaming them when they can't follow the instructions. You're not failing at discipline. You're failing at something that was never designed for you in the first place. Let me give you another example. You've got a deadline coming up. It's 2 weeks away. You know you should start now. You know that spreading the work out will make it easier, less stressful, higher quality. You tell yourself today's the day. You sit down. You open your laptop. And then nothing. Your brain feels like static. The task feels impossibly heavy, like you're trying to move a boulder with your bare hands. So you get up, you make coffee, you check your messages, you organize your desk, you do literally anything except the thing you sat down to do. Hours pass. You feel worse and worse. The guilt piles up. You're screaming at yourself internally. Just start. Just do something. But you can't. It's like there's an invisible wall between you and the task. Then the deadline gets close. Suddenly, it's tomorrow, or tonight, or in 3 hours. And just like that, the wall disappears. Your brain lights up. You work for 6 straight hours in a frenzied blur of focus and energy. You finish the thing. It's not perfect, but it's done. And everyone around you says, see, you can do it when you really need to. You just need to stop procrastinating. But that's not what happened. What happened is your brain finally got the urgency it needed to release enough dopamine and norepinephrine to actually engage with the task. That wasn't discipline kicking in at the last minute. That was your neurochemistry finally reaching the threshold required for action. And the cost of operating that way, over and over, year after year, is massive. It's chronic stress. It's burnout. It's shame. It's the feeling that you're always one mistake away from everything falling apart. You've probably also noticed that you can't seem to maintain habits the way other people do. You start strong. You're all in. And then, without any clear reason, you just stop. The habit dies quietly. You don't even remember deciding to quit. It just fades. And people tell you it takes 21 days to build a habit, or 66 days, or whatever number is trendy at the moment. But for you, it doesn't matter how many days it's been. The habit never seems to stick. That's because habit formation relies on consistency, and consistency relies on executive function. If your executive function is inconsistent, which it often is with ADHD, then your habits will be too. You're not failing at discipline. You're trying to build a structure on a foundation that shifts underneath you. Here's what changed everything for me, and maybe it'll land for you too. I stopped trying to be disciplined. I know that sounds backwards. I know it sounds like giving up. But stay with me. I stopped trying to force myself into systems that required me to be a different person. Instead, I started working with how my brain actually operates. I stopped setting alarms for 5 in the morning because I knew I'd hate myself and hit snooze anyway. I stopped making elaborate weekly plans because I knew they'd be abandoned by Tuesday. I stopped signing up for things that required consistent, repeated action over long periods of time unless I genuinely cared about them. Instead, I leaned into what actually worked. I used urgency when I needed it, but I manufactured it intentionally instead of waiting until the last possible second. I broke tasks down so small that they didn't require much activation energy to start. I paired boring tasks with things my brain actually enjoyed, like listening to music or working in a coffee shop. I stopped judging myself for needing different conditions than other people. I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't. And slowly, things started to shift. Not because I became more disciplined, but because I stopped fighting my own operating system. You've probably spent so much of your life trying to fix yourself, trying to become the kind of person who just does things without needing a reason, who follows through on plans, who doesn't need external pressure to function. And every time you failed, you added another layer of shame to the pile. But you were never broken. You were just different. And different doesn't mean less. It just means you need a different map. The people who succeed with traditional discipline aren't better than you. They're not stronger or more mature. They just happen to have brains that respond to the tools that society handed them. You need different tools. And that's okay. That's not a failure. That's just reality. There's this idea that if you can't do something the normal way, then you're doing it wrong. But normal is just another word for common. It's not a measurement of value or worth. You're allowed to do things differently. You're allowed to need different conditions. You're allowed to structure your life in a way that actually fits how you're wired, even if it looks nothing like what everyone else is doing. I want you to think about how much energy you've spent trying to change yourself, how many hours you've lost to guilt and self-criticism, how many nights you've stayed up hating yourself for not being able to do something that seems so simple for everyone else. That energy wasn't wasted because you're weak. It was wasted because you were aiming at the wrong target. The real work isn't becoming more disciplined. It's unlearning the belief that discipline is the only path forward. It's recognizing that your brain has its own logic, its own rhythm, its own needs. And when you start working with that instead of against it, everything changes. Not because tasks become easier, but because you stop carrying the weight of feeling like a failure every single day. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not less than. You've just been trying to run software that wasn't designed for your hardware. And the moment you stop blaming yourself for that, the moment you start building systems that actually fit who you are, you'll realize you've had the capacity all along. It was just buried under years of being told you were doing it wrong. So maybe it's time to stop trying to be disciplined. Maybe it's time to start being honest. Honest about what actually works for you. Honest about what you need. Honest about the fact that you've been fighting an uphill battle this whole time. Not because you weren't strong enough, but because the hill itself was never meant for you to climb. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to understand yourself. And that understanding, That shift in perspective is worth more than 1,000 productivity hacks or motivational speeches ever could be. Because once you see it, once you really see it, you can finally stop fighting and start living in a way that actually makes sense for the brain you have. And that, more than any amount of discipline, is what will finally set you free.